Next up, we are going from tangible to tokenized, the future of real-world assets. This panel explores how blockchain is transforming real-world value into digital opportunities across industries. So, without further ado, I'd like to invite Todd and Brian, Nikita, Tory, and Kyle to the stage. If y'all can give a round of applause. Nice and easy. No Brian.
Brian's right here.
Oh, hey Brian, you made it. Come on up. I'll move over. Hey, who bought the dip? Who bought the dip? Let's get some energy here. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Todd Shapiro, and I'm actually the CEO of a publicly traded company called Red Light Hall, and we're in the magic mushroom business. We're the only legal publicly traded company on the planet that sells recreational magic mushrooms and psychedelics. Who loves their personal sovereignty? Let's go. Anyway, we're here to talk about tokenization and the real world assets and the future of it. Of course, we're here with an incredible panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually let everyone introduce themselves. Let's do that. We'll start here with Kyle.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kyle Kempler from Canada originally. I helped was at the Genesis table with Tracy. And I just want to, can we just put our hands together for Tracy and Laura? The founders of this amazing, and Mahar as well. What a great job they've done. It's amazing to see.
Kyle, we got 20 minutes here, buddy.
Thing to Fort Lauderdale. Anyways, my name is Kyle Kempler. We're talking about real world assets. I'm a partner and a founder of a company called RAZE.finance. We've built a mid-market cap solution for tokenizing private credit, resources. We're not talking about treasuries, and we're not talking about startup equities. We're talking about that big, gigantic mid-market thing, RAZE.finance. We are a white glove solution provider. If you have a fund, if you have assets that you'd like to tokenize, everything's gonna get tokenized. We'll talk about that. But RAZE.finance, let's go, take a look.
Okay, over to Brian.
Hello. Great to be here amongst all these amazing people. Brian J. Esposito, CEO and founder of Esposito Intellectual Enterprises. That's my private holding company, proudly now consists of over 115 different companies. We operate in over 25 different industries. I became very heavily involved in tokenization 13 years ago, which led me to take over DiamondLake, a public company with the ticker symbol DLMI in August of 2023. And we have become quite a monster in the space and proudly leading the way of the future of tokenization in a publicly traded company.
Thank you very much. Now over to Nikki.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikita Sachdev. I'm the CEO and founder of Luna PR. We're a PR and marketing agency focused on Web3, emerging tech, disruptive tech, headquartered in Dubai, offices in London and New York.
And Tory, finally, Tory.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm Tory Ricalis, CEO and co-founder of Titl. We use AI to generate property title reports. We place property data on the blockchain, and looking forward to the discussion today.
Okay, thank you all so much for being here. Now, one of the things I like to do is I've been coming to these Bitcoin conferences and cryptocurrency conferences for 7-8 years now. And sometimes I find the lingo gets a lot for people trying to learn and try to be educated in the space. And this tokenization aspect, what's happening in the future, you hear Larry Fink talking about it, BlackRock, JP Morgan, it can be confusing. So let's kind of dumb this down for everybody and have some fun. I want to learn with our great panelists. So why don't we just start off with a simple version of Kyle, what is tokenization?
Great question. So what is tokenization? It is, in my opinion, it is taking an existing structure, database, and putting it on the blockchain and using denominated digital representations of it in an immutable, accountable, responsible fashion that is easy to understand. It's basically taking those bank balances and making it into something that you can prove and know and verify amongst parties that can't trust each other. So that is what tokenization, in my opinion, is. Todd.
And Brian, we hear about this as sort of entering the gold space, entering the security space, entering big business. If my kid wanted to start a lemonade stand,
I love it. Let's go.
How do we take small business and small entrepreneurs, which I'm sure there's many people doing startups, can we start to tokenize their their assets, their businesses for
Absolutely.
transparency and future earnings and stuff.
Absolutely, great example, and I love the small local economy proof of concept. Even with our public company, because we have the licenses to start tokenization on real world assets. But if you look at a small mom and pop business, what a great audience to now have a capital source being your customers, where you can tokenize some aspect of that business. So if you're a restaurant, maybe it's the F&B side of it, where it's some of the specials that are coming out that week. We're going to tokenize these specials. Our local investors are going to help pay for the cost of the food. It's going to help eliminate the waste. They're also going to be your army of people that are out there promoting it. And now that token doesn't have to be attached to the equity of that restaurant. It could be attached to the revenue share or a profit share of whatever that business is doing. So it is a great saving grace for mom and pop, and I'm very excited to be helping a lot of these companies be able to show, hey, listen, I know you need capital. It's the hardest thing in the world to go out and try to raise capital or ask people for money, but it's easier if you can attach that inbound capital to some sort of revenue source where they can get something back.
I love to hear that. And as a CEO of a pubco, we have to go through our financial audits. You have to do a ton of that for the transparency, MDMAs, quarterly reporting, financial results. But that costs a lot of money. So to hear that for a small business, that's nice to know because the transparency is there. Now, Nikki, how can this transparency help in something, say, for instance, if a charity were to tokenize?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of blockchain is everything is transparent on a ledger. It's accessible to everybody. And so I guess when you put any transaction, anything on chain, it just provides a new level of transparency and trust to a whole new audience. And I just wanted to add on to what the other panelists were saying is the other opportunity it gives is fractionalized ownership. So you don't, if you want to get involved in buying an asset, I mean, not on the charity side, but on an asset, then you don't need to buy the full asset. You can buy, to own that asset through many investors in fractionalized ownership.
It's interesting you say that because one of the big advantages from what I do know, and Tory will get to you on this a little further, is liquidity. Creates a lot of liquidity events, and a lot of that's because there is fractional ownership where your regular average dealer Joe can now maybe invest in something they couldn't invest in. Tory, is this a positive thing, or and I say that because you think of investors sometimes as accredited investors, and what kind of protections can we have for investors that could enter call it a 24/7 exchange that's tokenized?
Yeah, and Todd, that's a great question. The reality is it is good and it is potentially bad. There could be some bad actors. You could have some dirty money being involved in some tokenization without really knowing where it's from, a hidden wallet or something along those lines. Accredited investors obviously do protect, are protected, insured, et cetera. But regardless, I think tokenization to create liquidity is a good thing, no matter what. Decentralization of asset is fantastic, and that's what we're here for.
Kyle, this may be interesting, but with the future where it is going to go with tokenization, is that good for governments in a way? We always think about kind of our personal freedoms and being in control of our choices, but on a tax situation, for example, is everything now just kind of sent to the government? No one can kind of hide their taxes on capital gains. So where do you see it going on the establishment side as well?
I mean, I don't have too much comment on that. The technology doesn't require a lot of the governments, and I think there's going to be a restructuring of the way that taxes are collected. We should actually be looking at, we're in a wholesale system upgrade here, and if we're going to bring this bullshit tax system along, it's going to be disastrous. So it's time to rethink about the first principles and also what the point of government is, because at the level of AI right now, it is so strong. There literally is just a lot of government workers are AI agents talking to each other basically now, just with humans prompting. It's bullshit. So we got to think about that. But I'll also say, in this space, the lemonade example. I mean, dude, right now, go home, go to pump.fun, start one. You can literally start it. Try it out. It might. You might think it's just going to be a gambling meme coin, but actually, you're creating an economic value container that can serve that purpose. And if you deploy your profits into that, it functions like a capital market. So you can have very loosey-goosey, open, like Solana, Pump Fund, Moonet, whatever type plays, or you can do the more structured, more effective things like what RAZE does with accredited investors taking on large, secure, corporate enterprise clients to help onboard them into this thing. So there's just different levels, but the great thing is it is an open sea of innovation, and it's really, really exciting. While we're in the bull market right now, you know, we're gonna see, I think we're still in the bull market, we're gonna see like the meme coins potentially continue to rip, like, you know, ones like Zoran, for example, they might just fly. But when the bear hits, the real world assets that are yielding in stable coins is going to be a safe haven for everybody to get into. And this is part of the grand scale transformation that's coming. So know there's the metas here, and there's gonna be, even in a bear, there's going to be a bull.
Right? Love it, well done, well played. So I'll skip over Brian for a second because you mentioned Pump Fund and you mentioned small business getting attention and perhaps, you know, growing their small business and tokenization within their own little coin that they can do. Nikki, you're in PR. What do you do to small companies to recommend them get attention in this space?
So, with all due respect, I feel that maybe not everything needs to be tokenized. And I think that when we talk about RWAs, the A stands for asset. So we're better off tokenizing assets. I think that we need to differentiate what is an asset and what is not, and understand how to tokenize it. So when I'm working with small businesses, I'm trying to understand really what their business model is, and if it's revenue generating, if it's profitable, and how much scalability they actually have. And then we try to evaluate whether they need to be on the blockchain in the first place. I love everything about the crypto space. I'm a massive advocate of blockchain technology as well. But I think that when we're in a bull market, there's a lot of hype. And in order to build sustainable projects that will last through the bear markets, we really need to understand fundamentals. Sorry to drop the F word there. I know everyone hates talking about fundamentals, but I do think that as much as of PR and marketing I can do, it really boils down to the fundamentals of a company. So I like to evaluate whether it's going to make sense to the audience before I even start working with a company. And if it doesn't, I like to offer my advice and see if they're willing to take it.
And well said, and not to counter that at all, but it is interesting in stocks these days and some cryptocurrencies where fundamentals in a way don't matter. Like it's really wild to watch, you know, these you know, looking at the AI companies right now with multiple billion-dollar valuations with zero revenue, and who knows where that will end up. So there is hype, there is, you know, meme stocks, there's meme coins, there's you know, this kind of Twitter or X.com kind of algorithm that you'll see all of a sudden things and you want to get involved in it. So I would say that it's like actually a little bit of both, but obviously always do your due diligence. And now, Brian, so when you're big business and you're publicly traded as well, will tokenization help companies and bigger ones raise significant capital because of the liquidity potential?
Absolutely. It opens up an entire international audience. So you will have now an investor community that could participate in throwing a little bit of money into a business or a business unit that they never had a chance to buy into. And that's one of the ethos of DiamondLake is the 99% of the world never had a chance to be blessed with an IPO moment, a pre-seed round. They don't have a great Morgan Stanley account where their broker says, hey, I got a few hundred shares of this stock for you. They don't get it. They're not allowed to get it. But now with technologies and global networks and blockchain, you're talking about going to millions and millions of billions of people to raise millions of dollars, opposed to going to hundreds of people to raise millions of dollars. So, you know, that's the connection that we love. And to give somebody 0.0001% ownership in maybe a hotel or a resort that we're developing, a building in Times Square, a music catalog, it's not necessarily about the money for that person. You're giving somebody the sense of ownership. In the past, you'd put your flag in the sand and you'd own a piece of land. That's not really realistic with 9 billion people, but they can own a fractional ownership into a piece of land where now you've just elevated humanity by opening up those technology systems for people to be able to participate in.
Fascinating. Now, Tory, how does this relate to the middlemen in finance? Your brokers, your accounts. Like, how does that eliminate these people completely?
I mean, potentially it could, and maybe that's a good thing. I mean, the reality is no one's beating the market. 10% of actual middlemen beat the market, while 90% fail. So I think putting kind of the onus on yourself and having that flexibility to do what you want at any given time is fantastic. Rather than calling your broker and say, hey, sell now, and already you're too late, or buy now and you're already too late. So having that flexibility, having that instantaneous purchasing power 24/7 is great.
So as a capitalist and someone who, obviously is very focused on doing my very best to make money in many different areas, how do we, get regular investors involved when it comes to tokenization, but make sure they're educated as well? Let's go to you, Kyle. Because that's
this is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I say that because my experience with everyone who's done very well in the cryptocurrency world, they are some of the best-hearted people I've ever met in my life. And I think there's a big stigma out there from the few scam artists and the big news stories. And I think ultimately, we want people to beat the machine, right? Is that fair to say? So how do we do that?
Well, and one of the big issues, I think one of the misnomers is if you tokenize, just RWA, if you tokenize the RWA, the community will beat your market. We're trying to tokenize all these things, but we also need to tokenize the existing investor markets, because yes, it can open it up to millions of potential investors, but those millions of traditional investors need to be on board as well. But have no fear, for our solutions are here, and the example or the onboarding cases are getting easier and easier and easier. Just watch over the next couple of years, it is going to continue to become easier to get involved in this, which is going to open and transition, large markets that aren't in crypto into understanding it. And plus, honestly, a lot of the platforms are just going to start putting crypto into it, and we're going to be interacting with RWA tokens like we already are. It's just going to be tokenized.
So Brian, here's an example of bigger markets, and I'm really going to be intrigued by your response here. Gold. So when we tokenize gold, if there was a call for all the physical gold today, how many people would be scammed and left out and not be able to get their gold? And is that something, for example, that tokenization can solve?
That's a awful question to ask me. The reason there's not a universal system to answer your question, right? There's all these different siloed ownership in mines. There's processing. There's total manipulation in the institutional market on what we decide the price of gold to be. There's the shorters in the world. That system, and I don't know if I'm gonna answer your question, but I gotta tell you, I've never been the Bitcoin guy, because I need something physical. I need a real company, a real asset to create a tokenization that I can control the earnings and really appreciate the value of that asset. But what I appreciate about Bitcoin and the movement there was the movement into institutional, the ETFs that were created, which forced everything I've been working on to now be, okay, you can have a US bank account because all this happened. You're not gonna have any SEC dings or issues because it's moving in that direction. So I'm very appreciative towards moves like that, but when a commodity in its tradition starts to get tokenized, the players that are there are already manipulating the market. So I like to touch businesses that we have experience in, that we have great market share in, that we could grow, and then we want to invite our token holders or future token holders to participate in that. So I can't touch the gold one because I'm just not the Rothschilds or the of the world that control that.
Yeah, fair enough. We had a question in the audience real quick, and I think this gentleman back here, if you want to yell it, I mean, the room's a little loud, by the way. If we could keep the noise down, the background nice. You want to yell it? Do you want to yell it? Okay, so it sounds like he had some tokens on Coinbase, and unfortunately they went away somehow. They magically disappeared, which is terrible. That's a terrible thing. We don't want that. Tory, maybe you could take a stab at this. And and I think it's really all about reconciliation at some point. That I think this is what we're solving actually.
Well, one of the big things is obviously there's a lot of bad players out there. There's a lot of bad websites out there. There's a lot of things that you think you're purchasing, you're really not. So it comes down to obviously due diligence. It comes down to storing your assets on a cold wallet and not having your assets stored on Coinbase or any of those sort of wallets because, yeah, they're bound to get stolen. Cold wallet in your safe. No one's going to take them unless your wife knows your code, and that's about it, right? That's all you have to worry about.
And short of the full cold wallet, just any self-custody wallet,
Yeah.
your keys, your coins, not your keys, not your crypto. So just like it's so critical that you take control of your own coins. Don't trust custodians with your mats because you might want to trust them, but ultimately you really can't. But you can trust yourself and look into best practices for how to keep control of your seeds.
Well said.
Okay. Oh, it's hard to hear. We don't have I need someone out there. Yeah. I can't even hear you.
Best cold wallet, use a Ledger or a Trezor perhaps, or Tangent is an excellent wallet. There's lots of ones. Edge Wallet is a great mobile wallet. Phantom Wallet's an excellent wallet. There's so many different options.
Okay, my gentlemen, we'll get. I love this. I love the party. Why don't you come here? Let's do this. We'll make it. No, we'll get this gentleman first. I saw his hand. Okay, you first. I like your visor, anyway.
I'll just give him that.
Okay. Might get feedback.
Thanks for taking my question. So, when or how close are we to accredited investor transportability across offerings in the U.S.?
Verified credentials in our wallets, we're close.
I think we don't necessarily know, but
So you prove that you're an accredited investor, and then you have a piece of a digital identity that can prove across different platforms. And because everything's open source, they can talk to each other. And this is why the DIID Standards Association has been set for digital identity, for self-sovereign digital identity, so that you can go from one platform to another and be able to prove that. Same with what Look was looking at with the adult industry of being able to age verify without giving all of your information. Who wants to give porn sites like your name and date? They just need to know that you're over 18. This is a whole nother panel.
over to you, ma'am.
You're talking about setting up funds with crypto assets. Are you using the Cayman Islands? I think, we've been seeing a lot of talk today about Cayman. Was just curious on your thoughts about them.
I will say Cayman does have some of the best banking in the world, and they have proven themselves to be, a force in the crypto world as well, specifically around world assets. I had a conversation today with actually one of the representatives out of Cayman, and they are definitely looking at tokenizing not only stocks, but real estate and other funds as well. So that is something that is right around the corner.
Wyoming is a great jurisdiction as well. Shout out to Wyoming. You guys rule.
We have a few minutes left here, so I'm just going to sort of get back here to asking, because I want to try to end this on a fun note. Nikki, you're a creative person. What are some of the fun things that you do see being tokenized, whether it's investing in movies or record labels or clothing lines? What do you see that'll be fun for it?
I've seen everything been tokenized. I've seen bananas being tokenized. But I mean, as I was mentioning last time, it boils down to whether there's actually a business model from this. When I did some research onto the bananas, this is back in 2017 actually, before RWAs was the buzzword. It was basically not just the bananas, but it was the plantations and the farms, because it was actually generating revenue. The bottleneck that I find, though, is the liquidity and getting the retail investors, as you were mentioning earlier. I think that's my mission is to just get people to educate themselves and just to understand the space a little bit better. And I think this gentleman who was also talking about your wallet being hacked, I think it's very important for all of us to educate ourselves. The space is decentralized. We're not relying on a middleman. There's no customer service. That means we're accountable. And my wallet got hacked, by the way, 3 years ago. And it's because I fell into a scheme, and I gave my wallet address. I invested in a token, clicked a button, and you won't even know it's happening. You won't even know how it's happening. But since then, I learned my lesson. I put everything on a cold wallet, on a ledger. But yeah, I think it just boils down to us educating ourselves into what is the best move.
Perfect. Some closing notes here. We got, again, just about a minute and a half left. Tory, where are we in 5 years from now with tokenization, and can we coexist with big corporate exchanges and the little guys?
Absolutely. In 5 years, you're basically going to be able to transact real estate on the blockchain. I'm talking single-family homes. At Titl, that's one of our visions, is essentially putting property deeds on the blockchain and then being able to transact instantaneously from anywhere around the world. And obviously in a portal where you're KYC, AML'd, everyone's, accredited at the table. But that's where I see it. And I mean, there's great things happening every day here, and it's fantastic to see.
You should ape that one. Titl is like a huge opportunity, and you're doing a great job, and it's a great name too.
Thanks, Kyle.
And I'll also just say, in terms of fun mimetic stuff, like what's the fun thing that I'm really excited about? So last night, Zoran Mamdani was elected mayor, and I like politics, and I like political dissent as well. So I like the opportunity for mimetic dissent through meme coin warfare, and we actually launched Zoran the Moron. It's Mayor Zoran on X, at Mayor Zoran. And for the next 4 years, we're gonna be creating like robot chicken style content to really go after this and show the power of community. And plus, when you add a token to it, there becomes like a more of an incentive for the community to get in and roll and rock on it. So anyways, morons for Zoran, let's go.
Love it, dude. Hey,
Thank you, Todd.
In 10 seconds or left, where can people find you?
I'm at Kyle Kempler on Twitter, and it's at RAZE.finance for RAZE.
Brian?
At Brian J. Esposito, everywhere you can think of. DLMI is the public company, DiamondLake, and EIE.rocks is my private holdings.
Nikki?
At Nikki Chain on X and lunapr.io.
And Tory?
At Ricalis on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and then Titl.co is our website.
And it's Titl, right?
Titl,
yeah.
Correct.
And I'm Todd Shapiro, CEO of Red Light Holland. If anyone likes magic mushrooms, check us out. Our ticker symbol on the CSE is TRIP. Pretty good one. And and on the OTC, Truff. And I'm at Todd M. Shapiro on X. And we're really grateful for all your attention today and for participating too. Thank you very much for doing that.
And thank you,
all.
Todd. And thank you, Todd, for being an amazing moderator. Too.
Absolutely.
Bro, you crushed it. That was one of the best ever.
I got a few hours behind me doing it. So, no, we really do appreciate it. Thanks to Futurists. Everyone's done a great job. Enjoy your next few days, everybody.
Thanks, guys.